Hi everybody, it's Tamara from Moogly, and I am coming to you today with our January Live for 2020. I want to say Happy New Year to everybody. I hope your year is off to a fantastic start. I was over on Facebook doing a live on the Moogly Facebook page just a few minutes ago, and I shared all the projects we've already done this month, sneak peeks of upcoming projects, and I was talking about this afternoon I'm going to be filming another video tutorial for you guys. So if you're only following along on YouTube, you haven't seen it yet, but I've got a pair of simple spa slippers. The pattern's out now. Video tutorials will get filmed this afternoon if all goes well, and hopefully be up on the site tomorrow. So definitely check that out. Head back on over to Facebook. Check that out. Go to the link at the description here, and actually that will be a page with the Facebook video already embedded. This video will be embedded there when it's over, and all the links to all the projects, the giveaways, the yarns, a couple of the sneak peek items, those are already up on the blog, so you can check those out at the end of this video, or open it in another tab and kind of follow along with the different things there. So definitely check that out. Today here on YouTube, I want to get straight into what I want to talk about, which is an intro to punch needle. Now, punch needle is a yarn craft that has been around for ages, a very long time. But I noticed about a year ago now, I went to a fiber festival in Pennsylvania, and there was an entire booth on punch needle, and I hadn't seen it before, but I saw right away that it was made with yarn, and I got very excited, and I definitely wanted to check it out. So I kind of made a mental note, that this is a thing that exists that I need to learn more about. And then, wouldn't you know it, at the end of last year, Leisure Arts came out with Modern Punch Needle. See if we can get it right there on camera. So this is a great book. And I did this on Facebook too. I have no idea how to pronounce her name. Berenice Robert, French, I think. Lots of accents in there. So I'm sorry if I butchered your name, but it is a really lovely book with projects and all kinds of fun things that you can do with punch needle. So I was very excited to check out this book, and right in the intro, there are instructions on how to punch needle. And I will tell you very honestly, I read through these instructions and I was like, this can't be it. These instructions are just not great. I'm going to YouTube it. So immediately I went over to YouTube and I looked up the instructions, and it was a moment of, oh, nope, that's all there is to it. It really is that simple. It's a great technique. You can do it with yarn. The hardest part, honestly, is just getting the right supplies. And that's been the biggest challenge for me as well. I have been to a couple conferences. I went to all my local yarn stores. I could not find any really good punch needle supplies there. I have, however, found a selection on Amazon. So today what I want to do is show you some of the tools I've tried from Amazon, tell you what I have found that works, what I have found that doesn't work. We can talk about the fabric. That's important too. And then, of course, I'm going to demonstrate how it's done. That is definitely the easiest part. So let's go ahead and come down here to the desk and start talking about it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pull up sort of the cloth that I've been practicing on. You can see I haven't really made any particular images or anything right now. Except for a heart that I freehanded. This has just been a sheet of where I've been learning how to punch needle. And you can see, hopefully, if I hold it up here a little bit closer, you can see there's a weave to this fabric. Now, if you've done any needlepoint cross stitching before, you may think, oh, this looks just like, and I don't know how to pronounce it, Aida fabric, Aida, but you can see this is a lot softer. This is called monk's cloth, and in fact, I tried with some of that Aida cloth, and you can see this is a lot stiffer, and it didn't work because there wasn't enough give. So the key to the fabric for punch needle is to have a little bit of give. You need to be able to get the tool through the weave of the fabric without destroying the fabric. It needs to be able to come back together. And I found that this stuff, here, I'll go ahead and pull the label up, AIDA, this stuff was just too stiff, at least in this brand, even though it was a polyester cotton mix, which is supposed to be a good sign. So the type of fabric you get, this is called monk's cloth, and I have found this for me so far the easiest one to use, and I do have it linked at the link in the description. And it comes in different sizes. This is a great sort of beginner, I think it's 11 by 11, so very easy for smaller projects and learning. And this works really well with yarn. Now, if you want to do punch needling with embroidery floss or thread, which is also a thing that's very popular, you'll need a cloth that's similar but has a much finer weave, simply because The weave of the cloth is what holds the yarn or thread in there, which you'll see here in a minute. So that's the cloth. Again, I've got a link to the one I really like in my description, especially for yarn. So once you've got the material to punch needle into, the other thing you need is, of course, the punch needle tool. And there are a huge variety of these on the market. So many different kinds, so many different price points. Now, as I pull that up, I'm going to go ahead and hit refresh here. I've been trying to get the comments to come up on the video here so I can follow along and see any of your questions. Oh, there we go. There, finally got it to refresh. And now I can see your comments. Okay, Barb, you think you got some items in random bags from yarn sales? That's so cool. I'm so jealous of that find. Vanessa, you want to know how to make a rug? This is perfect for that. Margaret, you said, oh, thank you so much. You're getting back into your crocheting. I'm so glad. It is a great stress reliever. So, okay. So we are going to, yes, and April, you're right. The supplies are absolutely the hardest part. So let's see. This is one of the kits that's available on Amazon, and I did link to this one, but I want to show you what comes in this kit. These are the threaders for the needles, and then this kit comes with these tiny little needles. You can kind of see right there. This is, I think, possibly the second biggest one. This might be the biggest one. So these sorts of needles, if you see this kit on Amazon, the descriptions aren't always great. This kit, you can see how little it gets. This is going to be for thread or embroidery floss. This is not the kit you want if you want to do punch needle with yarn. So keep that in mind. If you do want to do with embroidery floss or thread, this is a great set. Lots of different sizes. I don't really love, I'll go ahead and pull this back out. I don't really love the handle length. I don't know, maybe I just have bigger hands, but I don't really love having this tiny little handle on it. But it's got a lot of different sizes, and if you're just getting into it, kind of a great overall supply package. Then the next up I would say is this one, and this sort of punch needle is very, very popular. I did see this one. I got this one on Amazon. I've got all these on Amazon, in fact. And I did see a couple of people selling these at the latest conference I went to under different brand names, but they all sort of have this blue color and all look the same. And I do like this one because it's adjustable. And when I demo punch needling here in a few minutes, you'll see how that comes in handy. You can change, if I move it down here, you can see you change the length of the needle itself. So you can have a short one, a couple different medium lengths, and then the longer one. And the longer this portion is, the longer you can make the loop of your punch needle. So that is a factor here. And I haven't seen an adjustable one other than this one. So that part is good. It is also very easy to use once you've got it threaded. That said, this one came with a couple of threaders. And if I pull up the threaders from this box, they're all basically very similar. They just come in different lengths depending on the needle. And of course, this one came with its own threader. That was a bit longer than these because those needles are shorter, but you can see hopefully you can see just how incredibly fine these things are. Oh my gosh, these are so fine, so incredibly breakable. You really have to be very, very delicate with the threaders. I can't even pull that one apart. So this one came with a threader. And so I went to use it for the very first time, careful to, look it up and follow the instructions. And something got caught in there. When I pulled the yarn through the other end here, not only had I broken the threader, but an extra spring seems to have come out from the inside of this threader, or of the punch needle. I don't know what that spring was for. There's clearly still some spring-loaded action in there, so there's still a spring in there. I don't know if I just got a bad one or what, but now it's completely clear inside now that I managed to pull that extra spring out, and it works really well. Unfortunately, that left me without a threader. So my solution to that was to pull up my good old spool of Red Heart nylon and create sort of a little lasso. Basically, I tied just a really tight knot on one end there and trimmed off the extra. And this stuff is stiff enough that if you do have one of these and you don't have the threader, you can just drop it down the hole like there till it comes out the end, and then loop the yarn you want to punch with through this hole and then pull that on through like so. So that is an option if you get stuck like I do with a needle without a threader. So I wanted to go ahead and mention that. Now that's sort of the medium price point. Then we move up into the big mama of punch needles, the Oxford punch needle. This is the most highly recommended punch needle I've been able to find anywhere on the internet. It is absolutely the easiest one to use. It is gorgeous. It is not inexpensive, bluntly. It is a lovely, lovely box here. It comes with its own little gauge stitch gauge. It comes with an instructional booklet, which most do not, so that's really handy. Most of them just kind of leave you out there trying to figure it out. And here it is. I've got it pre-threaded over here. This is the beauty, the Oxford punch needle regular that you use with yarn. And you can see this one is probably the easiest one to load because you don't have to drop the yarn down through that hole. You just can lay it right into the needle itself. So any of these, the way they work, when you get the yarn down through the punch needle and coming out the needle end, you can see how it's got sort of a slant cut right there. You want to feed the yarn from the inside of the needle to the outside of the needle, so it comes out that side. So if you've had to rig up your own threader, this knot obviously isn't going to fit through there, but I did find that a yarn needle fits through there really well. And for this one, same thing. You can start, actually, if you're using this style, by threading it at this end, and then just lay it right across the needle, like so. Sort of wiggle it back and forth until it goes inside. There we go. Give it a couple pulls. And you'll be able to tell when it's all the way inside because this opening is a little narrower than the hole on the inside. So once it's all the way in, you can feel that it will run through a lot more smoothly. So those are the punch needles that I've tried so far. There's probably a few more styles on the market. This one, like I say, very expensive, but definitely so far the easiest to use. Downside to this one, besides price, is that it just has the one length here. So unless you want to eyeball it, which is a little harder, it's a little harder to get the different sized loops with this one. So that's the other factor. Like I said, I haven't found the perfect tool yet, but so far these two with yarn are the best ones I have found. This one, yeah, just, I don't know, like I said, if I had bad luck with that one. This one does seem to be very popular with other people. So you can give both of those a try. I would say if you're just trying punch needle for the first time, you probably don't want to invest in the most expensive tool. But this one might be a good one. Just be aware that you might have to rig up your own threader for it because those little wires, man, they do not like to work with yarn. So onto the yarn itself. We've talked about the fabric, we've talked about the tools. What about the yarn itself? When you are using punch needle tools with yarn, most of them recommend actually using a bulky yarn. So depending on the set, you're going to jump all the way up from the threads all the way up to a bulky. So you're generally going to want a bulky yarn. The other thing is that it works a lot better if the yarn itself has some grip to it. So this is Peyton's Classic Wool Bulky. It is 100% wool. And the reason that wool works better is because it's grippier. Any yarn that is really soft and smooth is going to pull back out of the fabric. You really want a yarn. Here is some I did with the Peyton's wool, the Peyton's Classic Wool Bulky. It sticks in there so much better. I can really genuinely feel the difference between this and what I did over here with Red Heart Roll With It. I believe this was the Roll With It tweed, which was very pretty and stuck okay, especially with the longer loops. But the wool, I can just feel, is a lot more secure in there. So the more grippy the yarn is, the more give and that the fabric has, they just really need to work together, which is why I think it's been such an experiment for me to finally get this figured out. So let's see. Yes, Vanessa, the complete set of those needles is, oh my gosh, I can't imagine how expensive that would be. So do the threads come out? If you make a pillowcase, can it be washed? If you make a carpet, can it be vacuumed? Great questions. As you'll see here in a minute, the way it works is essentially the punch needle just puts loops through the fabric, and it's the tension in the fabric and the grippiness of the yarn that hold the loops in there. So depending on how you're using it, if it's a wall hanging or a decorative item, you could just go ahead and hang it up on the wall as is. If you are going to be using it as a rug or something like that, you're probably going to want to apply some kind of backing that is going to attach to that yarn in some way and really hold it on there. You know, because basically it's those loops. And if you want to, if you decide you don't like it, this is the joy and the terror of punch needle. you can literally just pull it right back out. I'm going to go ahead and pull on the end here. And if you've made a mistake, very easy to undo, but also easy to undo accidentally, which is why you want this to be as grippy of a yarn as possible. You can see it did leave some holes in the fabric, but if I give that fabric a little rub here, you can see those holes are disappearing already, and I can work back into them or into holes right near them to get those to close back up again. So you can see here, like I say, it's just some different ones I've done. And basically, punch needle is the same movement, and you can get 3 different kinds of stitches. You've got, let's see, from this side, these are the flat stitches that I made from this side of the work. On the other side of the work, that leaves these taller loops. Depending on what kind of needle you use and how deeply you stick it through the fabric will change the length of those loops, but it's all the same motion. So if you wanted flat stitches on the right side of your fabric, you would work from the right side of your fabric. If you want loops on the right side of your fabric, you work from the other side. Then the other option, let's see, I did it on here somewhere. There we are. What you can do is if you've got those taller loops, you can trim them off and sort of brush them, and then you get shag stitches. That's genuinely it. So now let me show you just how easy it is to actually do. I've already got some yarn threaded here through the Oxford punch needle, the Peyton's Classic Wool Bulky. I have my favorite monk's cloth in an embroidery hoop. That's the other thing I forgot to mention. You will need an embroidery hoop or a frame, something to hold that fabric really, really taut. You want the fabric nice and tight in there. That's just going to make it so much easier. Actually, tried to cheat and test out a couple punch needles on the edge. Doesn't work. You need to have it in an embroidery hoop. But of course, you can pick these up just about anywhere. So what we're going to do is we are going to take our punch needle, and again, I want to reference this little slant. You want to work with the slant facing the direction you're moving. So if I'm going this way, I want the slant going this way. I don't want to move in the direction of the yarn. That will mess things up. So basically, decide where you want to start your design. You can transfer an image with pencil or carbon paper, or however, if you're following a pattern, if it comes with a kit, it might even have it already on there for you, or it might tell you how to do it, or you can freehand it. I'm just going to find a place where I want to go ahead and stick the punch needle right on through the fabric. And I'm going to go ahead with this one and stick it all the way through right up to where the handle meets the fabric. Then if I turn it over, I'm going to carefully pull that end of the yarn on through to the back of my project. There we go. And I'll just go ahead and let that hang. Then back to the right side, I'm going to carefully pull that back through, and I can feel the yarn running through the needle. So then I'm going to move just a couple little rows away here, just sort of eyeball it and punch through again. And then I just pull that back up through, move again, punch through again, and that is it. I'm just moving a couple rows at a time. You can change the length of your loops and your stitches to suit you when it's time to turn the corner, to sort of turn your work so that you always have it pointed in the direction you want to go. And you can see I'm literally just punching right through the fabric. That's all there is to it. I'll just go ahead and make a little square here. One thing I noticed is if the yarn gets caught, if say I just don't have enough pulled up here, or I'm pulling from a skein and it's really tight, it's really good to keep the yarn really loose as you're working. You don't want any tension pulling back on here, because then you're going to start accidentally pulling your stitches out. So you just want to make sure there's no tension, or as little tension as possible, on that part of the yarn. So now, flip this back over here. You can see this is the quote-unquote wrong side right now, but we've got these little loops that stick up. If I can turn it here, hopefully we can see in the camera a little bit more 3D. So this is the wrong side right now, but if I liked the looks of those loops, I could do the punching from the opposite side and have those loops on top of my fabric. Now let's see. Yes, you can do it with yarn. Oh, Knots of Mayhem. You learned it from your mom and your aunt. Oh, that's so awesome. I wish I'd had a mom or an aunt who was into yarn. I had a great grandmother who did a lot of embroidery, but unfortunately she was not around to teach me. Deborah asks, can you write with it? Absolutely. You can write with with crochet on, the surface of things if you do a long chain or surface crochet. But yes, you could write letters with this, anything really, draw pictures. I think that's one of the really fun things of it is that since you can trace, you don't really have to have a, artistic drawing talent if that's not one of your talents. If drawing is one of your talents, you could absolutely just go ahead and start freehanding it. But you can do all sorts of shape, really. Any shape you want, any picture you want. Let me go ahead and pull up that Modern Punch Needle book again so we can take a look at some of those projects. So you can get an idea, something a lot fancier than what I've been doing here. And you can see there's templates in the book to help you make what you want to make. But here we've got pillows. There, let's see, there's a basket. They did sort of a really nice panel around this basket. And she has some really good recommendations for supplies as well. But she is a big fan, too, of the Oxford punch needle, that number 10, the regular, which is the one you want for yarn. Oxford does make a one for finer yarns as well, like the embroidery floss. So here's another pillow. And then some coasters, which I think is really great for a beginner project. You could even do sort of stuffed pillow animals. Here's a penguin. When I was at a conference earlier this month, I saw somebody had made a really cute squirrel one. And that was fun because, again, it just blew my mind that that was in there because that booth wasn't even about punch needle. It had nothing to do with it, but they were displaying it to help display their yarns. So here was a good example of what you can do with the thread. You don't have to do it on the special fabric. Denim is another option. It's going to have that give in it. So we'll turn the page here. We've got some wall hangings. This is something where you wouldn't have to necessarily worry about backing it too much, although for this she recommends using cardstock for backing. So that's another option. These are really fun little embellishments you can do. Let's see. So here is a coin purse. So I see there's a question come up. What do you apply if you want to use it on clothes? Well, you could certainly use this fabric and cut it off and put it on as a patch. Or like I said, depending on the fabric itself, denim is another good option because it has that weave. So they did it here on a denim jacket, just directly on the jacket. There's another piece of art. And you can see here too, there's slightly the different stitches. You've got the flatter stitches, you've got the loop stitches, you've got the shag stitches that have been trimmed off. You've got some negative space. You don't have to fill it all in. And you can have fun with the directions of those stitches too. How do you do it? Do you do an outline and then fill it in, or do you go back and forth? You can create waves and motion like you see here, depending on the direction you work those stitches. But really, all of it is just punching it through. Punch it through. You can see here, there's some good demonstration in this book. Trim it off when you're done, and with the right sticky yarn and the right fabric, it should stay. Again, if you're doing it for a rug or something, you'll want to back it depending on the project. So let's see, I'm going to check in on our questions here. April is looking for a size 10 crochet thread with fuzziness. That is a great question. I do not know where to find that, but if anybody else does, please do leave a comment. Let's see, where do you get the fabric? I've got a few links. I have found this on Amazon, so I've got a link for that at the link in the description. Monk's cloth or Floba cloth, F-L-O-B-A, or Monk, M-O-N-K. Those seem to be the two most recommended ones. Although, like I said, in the book, they show it on denim with the embroidery floss. So for something like that, you'd want the small needle set. Does it not pull out if pulled? Absolutely. Yes, that's how you undo your work. If you don't like those stitches, if I did this the wrong direction, all I would have to do is pull those back out. So that's why I talk about, depending on how you're going to use it, that's the importance of a backing, or you could use a fabric interfacing if it's fabric, some sort of iron-on product probably. Cloth is not my specialty, but yeah, so just depending on how you want to use it, the project itself. But these are just the basic intro ideas of how to do it. I just wanted to show you guys today just how simple it is. And yeah, and give you an overview, like I say, of the different tools. I really love the adjustableness of this one. It's just too bad that the threader broke. And yeah, like I said, that mysterious spring that came out of the middle. I don't know if I just got an off one. You know, everybody's going to have that one in the batch, right? But since that spring came out, it was nice and clear through there. I was having a real hard time getting the yarn through it. That little spring came out on the end, and it's been fine ever since. So I think I must have just gotten a goofy one. But other than that, this one does great because I like you can get the really different lengths of the loops. Like you can see these, hopefully you can see here, these are a lot longer than these, just different settings with that punch needle. This one, of course, a whole lot easier to thread, but sort of one size of loop only, which is the downsize. So now that is a great overview, hopefully give you an overview of punch needle, the basics. Like I said, I've linked to all the different needle sets that I've shown you here today, as well as my favorite cloth. I do not recommend using the Aida cloth or Aida cloth that you would normally use for cross stitching. I don't know if you can see it. I know I'm getting kind of a weird effect on camera here, but it just, the holes, even though this was a cotton polyester blend, I was hoping the holes would sort of heal themselves, and they did not. So this did not work out really well. Just keep in mind, of course, if you want to do it with embroidery, you're going to need a much finer fabric like the Floba, or possibly some linen might work if it's got small enough holes. But if you use 100% cotton or linen with slick floss, it is a lot easier to end up accidentally pulling back out. But you can get some really neat effects. So if it's a wall hanging or something like that, a piece of art, you can do some fun things. This is just my little freehand snail I did testing out this little set here with some regular embroidery floss. So this was just done with the regular stuff. But like I said, for me, I love yarn. I love the bigness of this. I love the quickness of it. I love the artistic freedom. You can make anything. These were literally just, me taking yarn and figuring out how punch needle works. So depending on which side of the fabric you work on, how you work your loops, you can get different looks, but it's really just punching it right through the fabric. So that is punch needle, and I hope you enjoyed that quick demo. Thank you so much for tuning in. Come back here. So anyway, sorry, working with Jeff here. He says hi, by the way. Thank you everybody who subscribes to the newsletter and left great comments. He is a big help with all our videos and the newsletter and all the other technical stuff here at Moogly, and the laundry and the kids. He's a great husband. So thank you to him. Thank you to you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this demo of punch needle, and I'm excited to say that starting next month, I will be coming to you live twice a month. So if you have any questions, one of the things I did on Facebook this morning was I had a really great question about yarn labels and recommended hook sizes come in via YouTube. And I thought that was a really great question to answer for everybody. So I went ahead and answered that on the Facebook Live this morning. So you can check that out if you want more info on that. But I want to be able to answer your questions. So email me, tamarakelly@mooglyblog.com. Leave comments on the YouTube. I read them all. I don't always have time to comment back, but I try and answer any questions that I can. So contact me through there. If you're following me on Instagram, I read my direct messages. So if you've got a question that you think you'd like to see answered in a live, please let me know, and I would love to do so. I might not be able to answer every question, but I'll certainly answer those that I can. So again, I hope you have a great start to 2020. I hope you found some new projects to work on this year that have you excited. Don't forget about the Moogly Crochet Along that has begun again for 2020. We're now 2 squares in. And they are both really gorgeous and really fun and really different. It's a great way to brush up on your pattern reading skills, because while some of them might have video tutorials, they're written by 24 different designers and they have the copyright. It's up to them to make video tutorials. So some of them won't. And if you want to learn how to read patterns and not just have to follow a video tutorial, the Crochet Along is a great way to do that. I participated in a Crochet Along when I was a new crocheter, and I learned so much. It really inspired me to start my own back in 2014. Here we are in 2020. It's still going strong every year. There's a Facebook group to help you if you have questions. So it's really, we're all in it together, and we all work the pattern through, so that I can link helpful tutorials, and there are other people there who might be having the same issue or don't understand the same line and can help you out. So it is just a really great group, and I hope you will check it out. So thank you so much again. Have a great day, and I will see you again next month. Talk to you later, everybody.